for the win.
Started, huh?
Yeah, this is our first episode.
Or just us two.
Just us two behind the camera.
There we go.
So this is a new dynamic for me. I'm still getting used to the camera work. I think the last episode was like my first real experience getting my feet wet with the camera. Well, before that, we also had another episode that we were trying to record, but we had technical difficulties.
I was going to say, This is not the first time. I was literally just about to say that. I was like...
But the thing is, like, as we were recording that episode, I had this feeling in the back of my head that we were going to have technical difficulties, so that's why I wasn't really treating it like we were actually being recorded. I'm sorry, Prince, but that was my mindset. But hey, this is a proven concept now. We've done this. We've done it before, and it works.
You know what's funny?
What?
That recording, you were like, "And we have video." I don't even know if you remember that.
No, I do remember. I do remember.
You were like, "Yeah, and we have video."
See, what you probably should have done for that episode is that you should have started out as like, "Hey, just a note, we were actually supposed to have this episode be recorded on video. Thus, we were recording as we were, so we were recording, like we were."
Spit it out, Brian.
I'm looking for the best way to put this. We were recording as if we were actually putting out a video.
Yeah.
But
sure.
There was no video.
There was no video. Not that episode, no.
So you have us make these video references in the audio track like we were being recorded on video.
So you're saying I should have did like a pre-recorded...
Yeah, like a pre-recorded message like, hey... N.Cast viewers, or N.Cast listeners, because you're still listeners now because there's no video. N.Cast listeners, unfortunately, we were planning on doing a video recording for this new episode, but due to technical difficulties, that wasn't possible.
You know what? That's the pre-recording. This is the post-recording action now. Now they know. If they see the episode, like Brian said it.
Yeah, if you're following with the continuity of these episodes, then this is us officially declaring there was supposed to be a video for that episode.
And there was no video.
But there was no video. But...
Now we can segue into actually what we're going to talk about today.
All right, man. I'm just letting the listeners know.
It was a perfect segue, just to let y'all know. Full disclosure, right?
All right. So... Back on topic, as I mentioned before, since it's me and Prince here today by ourselves, just like the good old days.
Good old days.
We're gonna bring up a topic that's
like
very reminiscent of
when we were in the closet.
Yeah.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
We're going back to our roots.
The roots, where we needed a secluded area so the sound would not, bounce off the walls. It's echoey. Is that the correct terminology?
I think what a lot of people like to use is reverb.
Okay, reverb.
When sound bounces off the wall. Like technically.
I actually like echoey better. I feel like it works.
the audio technician term for it is
reverb.
Reverb.
There you go. Okay.
But with that being said,
so
like I said, going back to our roots, we're gonna talk about a special topic that is something that you may have learned in your local economics class, specifically microeconomics.
I don't think everybody
did take in college.
I don't think
And
everybody.
I got a B in that class, so I know what I'm talking about today.
You get a B in a class, you know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think it's like baseline.
Baseline?
Yeah.
B doesn't mean baseline. B means excellent.
I mean, I still think it's baseline. Like
C is baseline.
I mean,
C literally means you did the bare minimum to pass.
Like
B means you put in effort. You were just short.
Okay, but we're also talking about school. I'm thinking in like practicality, being practical, like in the real world, using this topic that we should introduce first.
Well, we'll get into that. So enough beating around the bush.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should definitely
we're here to
introduce
talk about supply
and demand. That's what I'm talking about.
So, that's what I always like to do with these kinds of episodes. How Prince is the one that brings them to my attention. I'm like, cool, we'll talk about it.
There we go.
So that's why I always like to ask this question. Prince, what made you want to talk about supply and demand today?
I just think it has a lot to do with like our culture. At least in the first, for people who are finally watching our podcast, we are located in America, so we're in a first world country. And
that wasn't apparent already.
Well, you never know, like especially because it's documented. That's why I'm just putting it out there. But then, no, I just think like we live in a consumerism society, right? So it's just like we're all about brand, like especially as we're going to the Internet of Things, we're gonna start asking Cortana, Alexa, like request Siri for like request
voice.
Requests of brands. So it's just a crazy concept. Like, yo, the demand is so high for like good quality brand because it's the next step to where we're going with technology and society. So, yeah,
I'm sure you're gonna do a bit more explaining on that front, but before you get into that, I think it'll be appropriate for me to talk about the fundamental concept of supply and demand. Okay. So to give some people some recap from their high school / college economics class, I have a graph. See, we have video now, so I can actually kind of show this off for people who are watching on video. I'm trying to move my arm so I don't. And if you're watching on video, you see me showing like an X and Y graph. And so on my Y is my price. On my X is my quantity. So price is represented by P, quantity is represented by Q. So in this graph, you have two lines that are inverse of each other that basically form an X. So the line that starts all the way on the left and then continuously goes down in a consistent slope, that is what you call your demand line with a D. That symbolizes it by a D, yes. And then the inverse line that starts on the left below the demand and then steadily rises with a consistent slope. Let me keep my directions consistent.
Wait, just real quick. It's from the left coming down is going to be demand, and then the right slope coming down is going to be supply.
In a bit more mathematical terms, well, this isn't like super technical. This is just algebra.
Say,
This is just algebra.
It's not that technical, but
it's just algebra.
Yeah.
The line with a positive slope is supply.
Exactly.
The line with a negative slope is demand.
There you go. Yeah.
And in these two lines, like intersection, so that point that they intersect is what you call your equilibrium point. This is where your supply is equal to your demand, and your price and quantity are exactly where they need to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that sums it up. I mean, that marks the spot right there. I guess that marks the spot. Yeah. So there you go. So I actually wrote down some questions before this episode just to elaborate on the topic and talk about it.
Side note, with these sorts of topics, we usually like to have notes in front of it. And since it's our first time we have a video, you can actually see us kind of peek down in our notes and we're kind of like cheating a little bit. But we just want to give you guys the best quality content, and we don't want to fuck things up while we're explaining something like majorly. I'm sure we've probably done it in the past.
We definitely done it in the past, and it's just light structure, like just not just to have like an open dialogue and then we just like go into a different topic and we forget our topic.
So pardon us as we kind of like use these sorts of offhand notes to kind of get our thoughts together, because Lord knows this man Prince right here, without notes, he would just go on some tangent that probably doesn't have anything to do with the topic of the week.
He's not wrong at all.
That being said,
he's not wrong at all.
Prince, please continue.
All right. So my first question is, what is the right price for a good product? Like, for example, what do you think is the right price for this Sharpie?
Well,
Watch. Go on.
Let me sell this fucking pen.
That's my boy right there.
This pen.
Fucking sell anything.
Why don't you do me a favor? Write your name down on that napkin for me.
I don't have a pen.
Exactly. Supply and demand, my friend.
You know what I'm saying? He's creating
urgency. The right price for this Sharpie right here, this Sharpie I'm holding in my hand for those who are listening to the audio, this black Sharpie, the price that I would give this would depend on my specific demand for this. Like, what is my demand for this Sharpie right here? So let's say I have no writing utensil and I'm in class and I need to write down notes for this exam I have in 2 days. And if I don't write down notes, then I'm going to fail the exam, I'm going to fail class, and I'm going to drop out of college, which almost happened to me, but that's a story for another day. In that case, this Sharpie would be very valuable. If somebody were to offer this Sharpie to me in the middle of class, like, hey, here's a writing utensil, but you gotta pay me for it. But in exchange, you get to take notes and pass the exam. I was like, all right, game, you're on. Well, how much you want for it? How much I would personally pay for this Sharpie? Well,
yeah, that's the question, Ryan. That's the question.
I'm just setting the stage.
I got you. The climax. I got you.
So I don't want to sell my soul for this. Like, I don't want to do dirty things for this. So I'll be like, look, I'll give you $5 for this Sharpie.
You sure? You sure you don't want to do dirty things for that Sharpie?
I haven't sold my soul there yet.
God
I don't know.
bless it.
Maybe because life hasn't beat me down too hard. But maybe if I do hit up darker times in the future, I don't know. Maybe I might cross over to the dark side.
I feel
that is a discussion for another day.
So you said you would buy that Sharpie for $5.
Yes.
I would probably. I mean, it's not a different topic, but I'd probably try to negotiate down that to like at least like $2.50, $3.
Given the scenario I said.
With just that Sharpie.
Yes. This is my only writing utensil I have access to.
So the max is $5.
That's how much I would pay for it. That's like what I would offer.
Or what's the lowest amount you would pay for it?
Lowest amount I would pay for it?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm the buyer, I mean, like, I would pay as low as I can get it. I think what you probably want to ask is, as the seller, what's the lowest amount you would sell it for?
Like, I'm thinking of you thinking as the buyer, what's the lowest price the seller wants to go for it for? Like,
so all right, so that's a little different question. Yeah. What's the lowest price? Would I think the seller sell this to me?
Excuse me, it was a more of like negotiation type price. I mean, type question. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
it made it sound like what would the lowest price you would pay for? I'm like, obviously, I would try to get it for free.
Yeah, I get that.
But you're asking what you really wanted to ask me is, like you said, what is the lowest price I think the seller would sell it to?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, given this dude's not a douchebag,
given like X,
he would probably sell it to me at like market price, which would be, I don't know, how much do these Sharpies go for?
I would say like at least
50 cents
per Sharpie. Yeah, maybe like $1.50 maybe max
for one Sharpie.
Yeah, one.
Usually, like the $1.50 packs come with like 3 Sharpie.
I did like $2. I don't know.
We'll say $1.
Okay.
$1 well.
Equilibrium price.
Equilibrium price.
Which I just gave away the next question I was gonna ask. What's an equilibrium price, Brian?
Equilibrium price? I mean, I kind of like touched base on this earlier, but basically. Ooh, I'm forgetting
X marks the spot.
I'm forgetting my math terms, but to kind of say this in like my dumb terms, it's the price. It's even more dumb than layman's. It's like layman's is like, it's not dumbed down. It's just simplified, so like more people can understand it.
Oh, primitive.
My dumb terms is like there is. My dumb terms is like there's clearly a word for it that will be better at explaining, but I just forgot because I'm dumb. But I digress. The equilibrium price is the price that you would set that basically
go ahead, do it again.
When supply equals demand at that price.
When supply meets the
When supply meets demand equals demand, whatever you want to.
Yeah. X marks the spot, intersects right in the middle of the graph. You got the price.
The perfect price for supply. You got the quantity. All right, I got it. The perfect price for supply and demand.
There you go.
Yes.
Boom. and then the consumer and producer agree on the price, and everybody's happy.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, next question. Is this gonna be our last question?
Do you want it to be your last question? That's up to you, man. You run the
no,
show.
I know that, but I'm thinking you have some analogies to offer, so that's why.
Well, none immediately jumped out in my head. I don't know. Maybe it'll come in later.
Like last thoughts or something like that.
We'll see.
All right, so I'll do this next question. I'll just say as the next question. If you have one more, cool. If not, we'll go to last thoughts. So what does it take to be successful in the market?
Ooh, the $1 million question. $1 million question. So, who's taking a stab at this first, you or me?
I think I'll try and take a stab. And
Okay.
try doing like a couple of sentences.
You said a couple sentences.
Yeah.
I can write a whole extended constructed response.
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
that's
but
the whole
that's the problem. I don't want to do that.
Don't
I'm trying to do a
wanna
beat.
that.
I'm trying to write a BCR. You know what I mean? Like not an ECR.
I feel it. All right.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay. So, what does it take to be successful in the market? I feel like you have to have the right product first, because the product needs to bring some type of value, and then you try to create some type of demand for the product. In a way, right? So marketing. Boom, boom. You got some marketing. Now, most people nowadays, they're like a lot of small businesses now, and a lot of small businesses don't have money like that. So you're gonna try to find some free marketing. So what do you got for free marketing, Brian?
Free? What can I do for free marketing?
No, what do you have for free marketing? You supposed to feed off me, Brian. What do you have for free marketing? Come on.
Right, well, in recent times, right, we had this new sort of thing, and it's really popular. I think some of our viewers and listeners may know of it, but it's this thing called social media.
Social media. Boom, boom, boom. So you hop on social media, you create a platform, you create a community, and then you're driving traffic. You're trying to drive traffic.
Yes.
To your
now,
business.
That being said, I mean, do you want to just hand this back to me because I'm about to go on?
Either way,
all right.
Once you create traffic, you know what price to set, and if it's a higher demand, then you can either get more cost or more goods to meet the price, or you raise the price. Up to you, depending on your business and depending on the situation. Now, I'm gonna hand it off to Brian.
All right. I got the ball in my court now. So, I'm gonna kind of take your points given and kind of like expand on them a little bit, / like give my own sort of like personal perspective on it. So you said point number 1, have a product that people actually want. What does it mean?
Or service. It can be product or
product
service.
/ service.
Yeah, it could be or service.
Yes. Have a good / service that people want. So what does that mean? Something that people want. Like, how do you know people want it? Because that takes market research.
Exactly.
Market research. You gotta survey people. You gotta really like look at what's currently in the market, what's selling, what's not selling, what are things people are asking for, but they don't have something that actually satisfies those requests.
I'm gonna let you finish, but
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I honestly believe that marketers are probably the scariest people on earth. Like scarier than FBI, CSI, all of them, just because of how much research they do on their like audience. And
you mean like data collection?
Like to the T, like to like knowing each like what they're doing every 30 minutes. Like it gets really tedious. It gets really technical, and they really find out what people are doing just to understand their audience members. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like marketing / PR.
Yeah.
Like it's funny you bring that up because I've been currently reading a book. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'm still reading it. I'm like reading it slowly, but I think I'm about to finish it soon. Buzzing Communities. I forgot the author's name, but maybe we might include it in like the blog post notes. Maybe.
Nice.
Well, not maybe. We probably should, but anyway, that's more for off the record. Buzzing Communities is a book about how to become a successful community manager. And one of the first steps you have to do to become a successful community manager is you got to collect a shit ton of data, like a lot of data. Like you have to like study the F out of your site analytics, out of like how many people are like coming to your site, how many people are like
the
signing
conversion
up.
rates,
Yes,
the traffic,
yeah,
understanding who's on each site? Where is it navigating to?
Yes, and you have to analyze and study all of that to an excruciating degree. But yeah, data collection. Like, there's so much data collection. I was reading this book and I'm like, do I really have to collect all this data? Like, all this personal data? Like, a lot of people consider that data personal. Like, studying, like, where you're coming from and, like, how much time you're spending on this site. Like, I know a lot of people that might not be, like, so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? So, open-minded to that sort of thing.
Yeah, because it's tasking and it's task heavy. The data comes in almost at a daily rate, like every day.
No, I'm not talking about just from the data collector's perspective. I'm talking about the people who are getting their data collected.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's even worse. I was telling you off the record about that web browser. They pay you. It's through data collection. Yeah, that's how they pay.
That's I'm like, because when you said like, yeah, they pay you, I'm like, all right, well, there's obviously a catch.
Yeah, it's through data collection, so they pay you, and then they split the profit that they make off your data collection. I mean, that's a better concept than Google taking all your information and then they getting hacked and won't tell you about it until 3 weeks later.
The mecca of data collection.
Yeah.
Facebook.
And then you see him in court. You see Zuckerberg in court. You're like, all right, bro. Like, that's how you feel. Like since 08, that's how you feel.
Yo, Facebook's data collection is on some other stuff, man.
It's a Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
The Netflix is. I mean, the documentary is on Netflix. You could go check it out. It's really good.
Yeah. But you were finishing your point.
Yes. So that was your point number one, talking about finding out what people want. And then you were talking about marketing, free marketing, using social media.
Yeah.
Social media is so like, it's weird, but it's so like cool. Like, I know, like,
it's lucrative.
It's come second nature to our lives. Like, yeah, social media is just something that like is just a part of our lives. But if you actually step back and really like look at social media,
it's weird.
Like, it's a free platform that I can market myself in. Like, when I mean social media, I'm not just talking about like, just like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like, I'm just talking about any kind of like platform that you can have a profile on. Because the thing is, most of these platforms that you can create profiles on and start like putting out like user created content on, you can all do that for free. Like, I always reference this guy, I feel like, whenever we're talking about like content creation, but Roberto Blake, I believe his name is. I follow him on Twitter, and he always drops knowledge on Twitter, and I always like to retweet it because I know a lot of people who follow me could use a lot of his advice. He was talking about, because he loves YouTube. A lot of people who use YouTube like to bash it, like, oh man, they don't do stuff for creators. Blah, blah,
it's
blah,
because
blah.
it already has a foundation. Like it's already established platform. So like anybody who's trying to get new into the market, it's gonna be hard for them to enter. They're gonna have a low entry point.
Yeah. It's definitely like hard to make a new YouTube channel in 2020, but like it just plays. But I mean, he literally has a whole he literally just put out a video like earlier this week that says like, is it too late to start a YouTube channel in 2020? Yes and no. That's literally what the title's called, and go check it out. He makes good content. But as I was saying, he was talking about YouTube. And
I want to know his no now. For some reason, I really want to know his no. don't say it because I don't know. Just like I'd like people to go see it.
I mean, he's got a lot of good time.
I was gonna say, yeah, people just go see it. We're not here to advertise. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, I just wanted to quickly mention. He also has this one video where he literally like explains how much he makes off YouTube, like down to the cent.
But when did he start?
I mean, I haven't watched that video yet.
If he started a long time ago, it makes sense.
But actually, how much he makes yearly on YouTube?
If he's making any money on YouTube, it's he started.
But what he does is he like breaks it down and talks about like where is this money coming from, like which one's ad revenue, which one's sponsorships, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah. I think you could actually learn a lot by watching his content. Like, no BS. Like, I feel like it would be right down your alley. And they're not long videos anyway. He was talking about YouTube. It's a free platform that you can promote yourself on and make money. Like, at the end of the day, it's free.
It's free. You can't complain because it's
Yeah,
free.
and that's literally what he was saying. It's like, I don't understand how people can just bash and complain about YouTube. It's like, it's free.
It's fucking free.
It's like, this guy's not like super young. Like he's like I think he's like in his late 30s maybe.
Yeah, man.
And he was like, back in the day, if you told me there was a platform I could create user-made content and make money off ad revenue and sponsorships and do it all for free, and somebody told me that
it's only
people would be
complaining because of money.
And he was like, and you told my past self that people are complaining about this platform, I would call them, what's the word?
Scumbags? What are you looking for?
It's like a simple term. I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself that they like that. I would call them, spoiled. I would call them spoiled and ungrateful.
That's the word that you just thought about? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's free. It's really, like I said earlier, it's because of money. Like, they're complaining because of money. It's like, they see people who are well established on YouTube that have been on it probably for years, or they got verified from some other account and finally made a YouTube account.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had a community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a following. It's a community. They built that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to like bash because you're coming at a low entry point. It's just like, bro, you're complaining. You're making excuses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yuck.
Yeah.
But let's just segue ourselves into last thoughts. Because I haven't thought of an analogy that I wanted to put like simpleton terms that would make sense. All my analogies.
I think we owe our audience at least an example of like how supply and demand is sort of applied into a real world example. Like when we've touched base on like certain aspects of it.
I mean, we did the Sharpie example, but I mean,
well, let's like apply this to the greater scheme of things, right? So say I am, what brand is this? It's all scratched up. Well, I am Sharpie. Sharpie is my business.
That's the brand name, Sharpie.
Yes, that's literally what these called. These are called Sharpies. I actually didn't know that until like recently. I own Sharpie, and I have a set quantity. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to price my product that meets supply and demand. I don't want to price it to where I would sell out quickly to where I would have excess demand, but I don't want to price it too high to where
it can't sell.
Where the demand is satisfied, but I have excess supply. So what it takes is a lot of market research, analyzing, your sales, your customer base, your market as a whole. And like my goal is, if I want to make as much money as I can, I want to price this at the highest it can be to where demand is satisfied and I don't have excess supply that's laying around, because that's we call it like sunk costs. This is like deeper into economics. I didn't get this far. But basically money that you have spent that you haven't like made your return on investment on. Like that's like basically what excess supply will do to your business. So I have to do as much research as I can to find that equilibrium point.
So you don't spend too much.
Yes.
But gain enough profit to either reinvest in your business to gain more resources like a Sharpie to sell more and then gain more profit. Some people play that game and then they take the profit once it's enough, like, was it residual?
Residual, no? I guess like this is deeper into economics.
It's deeper into economics, but I'm just saying like it's just like a rotating return. That's the best way I can like describe it. Rotating return, enough to pull out enough money for them to do what they want with it, but also put more money to reinvest in the cost of goods. Boom. Yeah. So I started off the last question. I guess you should start off the last thoughts.
Last thoughts about supply and demand. I mean, so there's one big talking point that we haven't really touched base on this episode in particular, and because like it's kind of worth its own thing, and that's called consumerism. Because I know we both have plenty of thoughts on that. But supply and demand is basically the basis of a free market. It's kind of one of the most like fundamental concepts in economics, in buying and selling, in how to have a successful business that that produces goods and or services. Because we've been our example specifically focused on like a very specific good, but as you mentioned before, like this also applies to services, and we mean services. We mean like we don't just mean like services like the more traditional way, like like back massages or like cleaning your car type of services, or like hair, like barber services. We're talking about to relate it to something that's more down both Prince and I's lane, content creation.
Boom.
I mean, we kind of had this tangent on YouTube and social media, but to really actually like bring this full circle back into content creation, being a content creator is you actually are applying a service. You're providing entertainment.
Boom.
You're providing like either like
I can't stop saying boom, man. Boom.
Hey, yes, you gotta emphasize the points.
It's like no, you're hitting this point spot on. So
it's basically when you say boom, it's basically the equivalent of like say you're typing up a document on Word and you're like listing like these bulletin points. Like the boom is the equivalent to the bulletin point, and it's like you want to like organize your ideas in a digestible manner. So when you say boom while doing voiceover, that's like emphasizing the point, like ba 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 ba, boom.
Gotta love it.
Where was I?
You were just emphasizing like
content creation.
Content creation, and content's king.
Content is king. Services.
Boom.
Yep.
Services.
All right, you gotta chill. You gotta chill.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we provide services, like say like I'm a YouTuber and I put out videos like once or twice a day, those videos are my service. And my market is like YouTube as a whole. I have like my consumer base, my subscribers. And with all that being said, you can break this down into supply and demand. In this case, your quantity and price. Your price. So, I never actually thought about specifically with price with content creation. Because, like, technically there is no price.
Because price comes through ads.
Yeah, you're right.
It comes through ads. It comes through sponsorship.
It does come through ads, and you can pay to become like a subscriber and like not do ads. So yes, that is price. Quantity is like the
volume of content you put out.
Yeah. So you've thought about this specific example more than me.
Right.
So
I've been thinking about this for like 3 years. But
yeah, as you should be. Like I mentioned before, like I'm in the early stages of starting my YouTube channel, and like these are things I still haven't gotten into yet.
Don't worry, you'll get it.
I digress.
You'll get it. Don't worry.
And you have your supply and your demand. Like your demand is like your fans and like how much they expect, like what they expect out of you, and your supply. What would you say is supply for like a content creator? Because you said your quantity is like your volume of like content.
Supply is the quality of your content.
Quality.
I was just like. It's like, all right, for example,
so what does it mean to have excess supply in this example then?
Excess supply?
Like you're putting in a lot of work for your quality, but your demand isn't there? Like not as much people are. Oh, I can kind of see it. Like you're putting in a lot of effort into your quality.
Yeah.
But your demand isn't there. Like there's not enough like people that are like consuming your content, even though you're putting in a lot of work.
That happens if you come late into the market. Like you can have really good quality stuff, and if you're late into the market,
if it's something that people are already getting elsewhere, or like something they're just flat out just not interested in, because like that sometimes
timing matters in the market. Timing matters in the market.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it just you're kind of like on the edge of it. Like it makes sense. Like if you have good quality, but if you come in late to the market, it's a hit and miss because you came late. Like you get what you deserve if you don't come on time. I hate saying that because I'm late to a lot of stuff. So
technically we're always like late.
Yeah. So
like if you want to talk about like trends and stuff like that, like it's hard to be like 100%.
Yeah.
Like actually, it's actually I don't know. There's a lot of people that theorize it's impossible to be 100% original.
Yeah. What?
No, that's also a topic for another
No
episode.
idea is original. No idea is
Yes.
original.
That, like I said, that is a topic for another episode. But
That being said,
I'm gonna
let's
throw
do
this ball back into your court.
Oh, I was gonna do social media plugins, but all right, go ahead.
Whoa, did you have anything more to like add? Because I mean, you kind of helped me out with my last thought. So.
Oh well, yeah, right. I was the only thing I was really gonna say is boom, because you really hit every single point that I was gonna hit, and that's why like we were just feeding off each other.
All right. I feel it.
Yeah, no point of like just like doing both if we really like feeling the vibe.
Yeah. So yeah, supply and demand, it's important.
It's very important, and it influences our society in so many ways.
Welcome to our TED Talk.
But yeah, let's do social media plugins. I guess I'll start. You can follow me on Instagram at p._nigma NIGMA, and then you can also follow me on Twitter, and that's at Nigma Prince NIGMAPRINCE. And I also made Twitter for our N.Cast, actually.
Yes, under my advision.
Yeah, so
because I'm like, look, man, it's good to have a Twitter so people can like reach out to us directly and like, because Twitter is like the most direct social media platform. Like,
it's like
you just hit
it's open DMs.
Yes, yeah, it's open DMs.
It's open DMs. That sounds like an oxymoron, but it is what it is. Yeah, so that's, I believe it's N.Cast Podcast, N.Cast _ podcast. That's our Twitter handle.
Simple.
So, yeah, and then we also have an Instagram handle, and that's at N_cast_. And yeah, those are my plugins.
So if you want to find me on the World Wide Web.
And TikTok, Nigma TV. All right,
yeah, gotta plug in the TikTok, man. But yeah, if you want to find me on the World Wide Web, I mentioned last episode, I recently changed my handles on both my Instagram and my Twitter to be in sync, and also made it a play on words. So you can find me at Brian Lives Life. That's BrianLiveslIFE, and that's on Twitter and Instagram. Do I have anything else to plug in? I mean, I think I'm like
Discord, or do you have YouTube?
Discord. I mean, like with Discord, here's the thing: like people like to plug in their Discord servers, like not so much like their profile.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, I don't have my own server yet. Well, I kind of did before, but now it's kind of dead, and I kind of want to make a new one in the near future. So, more information on that later, maybe. Along with this YouTube channel that's still in pre-production. Yeah, more information in the future, maybe. But yeah, Brian Lives Life on Twitter and Instagram.
Nice, in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should get on that wave.
It's a nice wave to be on. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, we'll see. But you know the tradition. Sign us off.
안녕히 가세요. 또 만나요.
Boom. Peace.